Good morning and woohoo! Yes, it's that time of the week again. It is Wednesday, so I'm wishing everybody a woohoo on a Wednesday. It's Vicky Midwood here, your health, nutrition, and lifestyle coach, aka the alcohol addiction and disordered eating eliminator, because I help you to eliminate the need, the desire, the obsession, and the compulsion to use food or alcohol to cope with life's stresses. And that is the theme of what I'm talking about today. So I put a post in LinkedIn and also on Instagram about, turning to food and wine and chocolate and pizza and cake and ice cream is never going to actually solve a problem. But here's the thing. We do it because initially it absolutely did help us to feel better. It did help us to feel that we could manage our emotions and just be able to just take a moment, do something that made us feel good, that brought us enjoyment, which then meant that we could feel in ourselves a little bit more able and capable to handle what else was going on in our lives. And nobody who gets into this whole habit of feeling that they are obsessed or eating or drinking compulsively, no one chooses that as an option. It starts out as being a way of coping that actually works initially, and it does. And this is why we have such a struggle with it when we can't seem to stop ourselves from being reliant on it. And we understand that when it starts to cause ourselves problems, whether it's health issues in terms of you physically putting on weight and you just not liking yourself, your clothes not fitting, and that making you feel pretty damn miserable. And for some of us, that really saps our confidence. Or whether it's how you feel in terms of how your brain is working and you're just like, you're waking up foggy headed and, just not feeling great most of the time. Now, when we feel like that, we kind of end up repeating the pattern subconsciously because we turn to the foods that we know will give us a little bit of a boost and a bit of a lift. And it might not just be that we turn into food, it may be that caffeine plays quite a big role in it, and perhaps cigarettes as well, because it is something for you to do to put into your mouth. And I know this because that was what I did. Cigarettes, alcohol, coffee, food, tick, tick, tick. And yeah, for years, because I just got into a habit of this is what I did, this is how I coped, this is how I managed what was going on, until it became a problem in and of itself. And it's one of those things that it's honestly so difficult to admit to yourself that that is what is going on, because we stick to the story that today is going to be different. Today, I am going to take control. Today, I'm going to prove to myself that I can control these things. And then it just takes one or two things to happen that throw you a slight curved ball. And guess what? Before you know it, you're back in that same pattern and that same habit. And then the story goes, well, okay, I've blown it today, so I might as well just go with it. I'll go with the flow. And then you promise that tomorrow will be different. Now, if anybody's resonating with this, I can tell you, you are not on your own. This is a common story for millions and millions of people. The difference is that some of those people can decide that they are going to say, stop, right, I'm changing my patterns, I'm changing my behaviors, I don't like it, and I'm going to do it safely, sensibly, and I know exactly what I'm going to do, and I'm just going to go for it. And that's great. But if you're anything like me, the intention is there, but the ability to do it, and the ability to do it in a way that you can manage your feelings without it and manage your stresses and what the life throws at us, the life, your life, my life, everybody's life is full of different stresses and different curveballs. And the thing is that unless you know how to manage your own stresses and your own emotions, unless you understand that you have to think slightly differently and you have to change your language, just trying to stop those habits is going to be incredibly hard. And that's why people try to do this stuff and they repeatedly fail at it, because not addressing what is going on in terms of the brain, the physiological actual addiction to some of the foods that you're using, particularly caffeine and processed foods that are designed to be addictive, folks. So if you are struggling by just trying to change habits, it's not surprising because we don't really understand that actually we need to go a little bit deeper. And this is the stuff that we tell ourselves we haven't got time to do and we shy away from. And this is the stuff, though, that actually makes all the hardest part is asking for help. Because, first of all, how do you know the person who you're asking for help is the right person for you? Well, this is why it's so important to have a conversation. It's so important to check out if they've got a way of you reading some kind of reviews or finding out about them, listening to what they're saying. Have they got some content out there that you can read, that you can kind of go, yeah, actually, this person does seem to be the person who I think will understand me? Because ultimately, if you're going to work with somebody on this stuff, it's really personal. It's really, really personal. You have to have a relationship with somebody where you feel safe, where you feel able to talk about, your innermost thoughts and feelings, even if you think that they're not very nice or not pleasant, or you shouldn't be thinking like that. Because if you are not in that relationship with somebody who's helping you, you're always going to be holding something back. And if you're holding something back, you're never going to find that you can fully be in control of what you're doing around food and alcohol and how you are coping with your stresses and just how you're managing your own emotions and what you are thinking and feeling. So it's easy for me to say, let's have a conversation, right? Because I know that I can help you, but you don't know I am. And this is where starting to do your own little bit of research about people is so important. When we are looking for help, you have to really gel with the person that you are working with. I have worked with coaches for a long, long time. And I just didn't pick somebody randomly from LinkedIn or Facebook, right? I was that secret lurker who was following people's content and looking at what they had to say. I was listening to their videos. I was going to their YouTube channel. I was looking at, the content that they were putting out there. And, if they had a Facebook group, I would go in and see, how were they answering questions? How were they talking about this stuff? Because you have to know that this is somebody that you feel is going to understand you. And that is something that takes a little bit of time. And this is why when people say to me, well, why should I work with you? And why are you different? I can't give you a definitive answer because you need to listen to me speak. You need to read what I've put out there. You need to read some of the reviews and what other people have said about me. You need to kind of engage in some of my content on my Facebook pages, on my YouTube channels or whatever. And you need to get to know me because I can't tell you why I'm the person for you. You will either resonate and gel with me or you won't. And it's that simple. And it's a gut thing. You kind of know if you is on your page when you have a conversation face to face or over the phone. You'll get to know whether that they come across, and you'll feel energetically if it's the right person for you. And that's how I chose all of my coaches. I didn't just go, oh, that sounds really good, I'm going to work with that person. It was like, okay, let me find out a little bit more. Let me just hang about these people. Let me see what's happening for a little while. Because when you are going into a relationship, it is a relationship. It's not something where you just eeny, meeny, miny, moe, I'll pick you. It's not like speed dating, swipe right, swipe left. So think about, first of all, admitting to yourself that you have a problem that needs help with. Because that is the hardest thing, to admit it to yourself. It was for me, and it is for everybody that I speak to. And we really believe that we can sort this stuff out for ourselves. And it's only when we've failed, usually 50, 60, maybe 100, 200 times that we finally concede that actually, do you know what? I need some help with somebody who's been here and come through this because I'm stuck. When you're at that point, that's the time to start reaching out and having conversations. And if you are at that point and you feel that now is the time for you to reach out, then let's have a chat. We've got Christmas kind of lurking on the horizon. And I know that it was a time of year when I was in the midst of my struggles with food and drink. I would dread it. I would dread it coming. I would dread the whole build up to it and all of the parties, and it was just a horrible time for me. I absolutely hated it. I have to say now, I really do enjoy Christmas, but for years and years and years, I didn't. And I made the excuse to work over Christmas just so that I didn't have to be around too many people, but it also allowed me to secretly binge when other people weren't about. And, I used work as an excuse for me to stay stuck in my problem for years. But I was that person who was working on New Year's Eve. I was that person who was working on Christmas Eve, because it meant that I could drink behind the bar and in the restaurant, and everybody else was partying, and it was legitimately okay. But secretly, it was hell. I felt shit most of the time. To be quite honest, I was working feeling rubbish most of the time. And I would tell myself that if I just kept topping up the alcohol, I'd feel better. I'd feel better. And of course, it was absolute garbage. But I stuck to that story for more years than I care to remember, folks. So I absolutely get it. And every single year that I look back now, I'm going, you know what? I could have done something that year. I could have done something that year. I could have reached out sooner. I didn't. We will all reach out when we feel the time is right for us, or when something happens. And, sometimes that has to be the case. Sometimes something has to happen that makes you literally take stock and go, shoot, you know what? This is now a sign that I need to look at just what I'm doing and get the help that I need. And if I am the person to help you to get over your issues with food and alcohol and all of the anxiety and the guilt and the shame and the stress that feeling as if you're out of control around those things brings, then please do get in touch. I would love to speak to you. Any issues that you have at all relating to anxiety, particularly, and depression, that maybe you've not linked to what is going on with your food and drink, that might be a clue that perhaps the conversation is just what you need, and that's all. All right, I wish you a woohoo Wednesday, folks. Whatever you get up to, please do enjoy it in one way, shape, or form. Have a laugh somewhere through the day. Be grateful that you are here to see another day. And I will speak to you very, very soon.